Hello everyone, I decided to do a proper one of these videos. I wanted to clear up some things from the April 1st one because of course those are always silly, so I have a lot of pony recapping to do. But first, state of the channel. I am actually back. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. That's kind of the weirdness of it, where, like, I want to do more stuff, and I'm going to, at the bare minimum, be streaming again, under the name of Green Bean. There might not be as much of focus on pony content, mostly because there is less, like, there's still not that many pony games to go around, sadly. I'm still gonna try to do pony content on what exists out there, but sadly there's not that much, and some of the stuff out there are of course things that just don't interest me, which is why haven't already done videos on them. Like, I found this weird series that's runs on the Warcraft 3 engine, and I was like, what the fuck? I just can't get into those. They're so fucking clunky. It's hard to explain. It's like playing an action game on the Warcraft 3 engine. It's bad, in my opinion. It's nuts. I don't know why they're doing it. But anyways, that's just my thoughts, and maybe if I played it more, I'd like it. But I tried it a few times, couldn't get into it. And sadly, there's not a lot of fan projects that do get finished, so that's a thing. But I do want to at least stream if I find interesting things to talk about. Maybe I'll occasionally make talk videos. I think Let's Plays are going to be a little more rare. I'm hoping that everyone's okay with streams sort of taking their place as something that you can just sort of watch and enjoy. Mostly because I feel like streams are just sort of better unless you have a partner. If you have, like, if you have another person, at least for me, I guess I should say if I have a partner, like, if I had a partner, I probably would still just do Let's Plays, because talking to them is just talking to one other person is a lot easier than talking to one other person and a bunch of people chatting at me. But I think I would prefer, like, I just have issues when it comes to talking for long lengths of time while playing a game and like focusing on those things without any back and forth for someone. I feel like I might get really scattered brained. Even here, obviously, like, I think I purposely did it a little more on the April Fool's video, but even here, I'm gonna be scatterbrained. I'm tired. I didn't sleep that well last night, and to be honest, that's sort of in a state I'm usually in, where sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, what was I doing today? And then I'll start talking. And it's like, what was I saying again? Um, so that can sometimes happen. Oh, also, I don't know if I'll switch around pictures a lot. I just thought this one was really cool, kind of nice. A really nice showing of a bunch of different stuff from the show. And even, like, you know, a nice throwback to older generations. It doesn't have all the new stuff in it, but I don't know. I just thought it was cute. I doubt I'll switch the pictures around as much, just because this is probably gonna be a much beefier video. Anyways, so that's that. Like I said, and if I do think of any pony things, I will stream them. I've been meaning to stream Legends of Equestria again, because I'm pretty sure those are still open and still updating. I don't know how far. Now, to be honest, I don't know how far, and I don't think it's crazy far along since last time I was messing with Legends of Equestria, but, you know, I want to see what they've done. Okay, so the other thing that this video is about, aside from updates that aren't even very in-depth updates, is, of course, a proper... I don't know what I'm even going to call this one, but this is going to be a proper recap of a lot of my thoughts. Starting with the fact that now I'm kind of, you know, I'm not expecting everyone who watches my stuff to be fully into ponies, and also there's a lot more ponies these days. Back when it's like seasons is 1 through 3, you know, it's, you can kind of just expect if anyone's interested they'll watch it. But nowadays, especially with the fact that some of the later seasons get iffy, I can't really expect that anymore, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of recapping as best I can on different things, and a lot more in-depth, and also, of course, giving my real thoughts. So, starting off, most people watching this at least probably know what ponies are. Twilight Sparkle goes to Ponyville, and she becomes friends with a bunch of ponies, and they form the main characters. And then they save the world and stuff. Season 1 through 3, really classic stuff. Twilight Sparkle and Friends, pretty great. I'm not gonna pretend that every episode was a total hit. There are some, even outside of Mysterious Ne'er-Do-Well, there are some episodes that I don't love. But the show was better at being good than it was at bad. More often than not, it was good. There were a lot of really fun episodes. And all in all, it was something that I feel I haven't really seen before. And I still feel like that. I feel like it's a pretty unique show, all things considered, which is pretty amazing considering that it's taken from, you know, something that isn't unique, but I feel there's a lot of things I like about it. Like, despite it being a high fantasy setting, in the early seasons, the magic actually felt grounded in something, which I feel is crazy underappreciated. Like, I'm not going, I didn't rewatch the entire show recently, so I might get the occasional detail wrong. But the other day was watching some episodes with my friend, just to get some thoughts together, to relax, while we were talking and having fun. And I was kind of impressed. I forgot that in Magic Duel, like, they do a pretty good job of establishing Twilight having limitations on how much she can lift at a time, and how much, what kind of magic is difficult or unreasonable for the average pony, right? But, like, as I'll explain, that's one of my issues with some of the later seasons. I feel like once you get to season 8, any pony, especially magically inclined ponies, not season 8. I feel like once you get to season 6, I feel like in season 6, any magically inclined pony can cast whatever they want. Any spell, anything you can imagine, they can just make happen. Magic is just broken as shit, even more than it already was. But okay, so season 1 through 3 happen. The main things that happen are, of course, Chrysalis, which actually isn't that important in the long run, though she will show up later. She's an evil bug, who can shapeshift. There's Discord, who is super not important, and I, wish he had the good sense to stay a villain. Or stay frozen in stone after they finished beating him. But okay, so that was one of the better things. They fought a good villain. Season 3 happens, and the main big thing is that Twilight, after many, many adventures with her friends, 3 seasons worth, she becomes an alicorn, which means she becomes a princess. She basically ascends to a higher plane of power. So that's super cool. If I were talking anime terms, that would be like an arc. Seasons 1 through 3 is an arc, and pretty much where I consider the original show to canonically end, aka where it should have ended, which is not something I normally say about shows, especially ones that I sometimes enjoy now, but I will explain as I go. So seasons 1 through 3, pretty much its own little thing. They could have wrapped it up with a bow. I know there was some the season finale for season 3 was a little rushed feeling. I'm not going to say it was all perfect, but they actually got a lot of emotions across. Despite the fact that Twilight becoming a princess only happens in one episode, they really utilize their time well. Magical mystery cure is something I think is really underappreciated. I know a lot of people weren't, for some reason, a lot of people weren't a fan of Twilight becoming a princess, but I don't know. I think it's something the show, if anything, I'll say it's something the show maybe could have set up a little better, but it feels like something the show was setting up for, at least in my opinion. It feels like the foundations were laid. That was sort of part of what we were building up to. Okay. So Starlight Sparkle becomes a princess. That's where you would normally end the show or have a big tonal shift or something, right? Like, it's no longer just slice of life. No, it is still just slice of life. Twilight Sparkle being a princess kind of means nothing, which sort of means seasons 4 and 5 are there, in my opinion. They have, and that's always the weird thing when talking about the show. Like, I made the joke in my thing that, like, they built up momentum, and it's the opposite. They were losing steam. But that's not to say that seasons 4 and 5 are terrible. They have a lot of episodes that I like in them. Now, not to say that every episode, like with the seasons 1 through 3, not to say every episode was a total knockout. I think they had, especially season 5, I think they had some, like, really bad episodes, like, Princess Spike, I think it was called, was, it's one I was a huge not fan of. But, you know, they happen. There's not a lot of recap I really want to do for seasons 4 and 5, because honestly, plot-wise, a lot of not stuff happens. Twilight Sparkle, which we discovered earlier, she has a brother, and, her brother, like, I don't know. That's one of the more quote-unquote complicated things I don't really like, even in some of the earlier seasons. Like, okay, so there's two princesses. You can even see it in the picture. Celestia and Luna. Cool. The third princess should have been Twilight, because she, like I said, she ascends, all of that stuff. The third princess ends up being Cadence, Twilight's sister-in-law, I think would be the right term. And she's an alicorn that shows up in season 2 out of nowhere. At the time, I didn't mind. I loved the show unconditionally. Alicorn showing up out of nowhere didn't piss me off. These days it does. I still like Cadence. It would be hard not to after as long as I've watched the show and as many fan art and all stories I've read about Cadence. But in canon, Cadence's existence is very poorly set up. AKA, it's not set up at all. She exists. And you just gotta kind of accept that if you want to. She doesn't even exist very often, which I guess is part of the problem. That she never really has much time to develop any sort of character because she's rarely on screen to be a character. But whatever, so Cadence and Shining Armor bang. That's a thing that happens in season 2. Let's see. So that was that's an important recap. Season 4, I forget exactly what the major things are. I know, one of the things that happen, so I guess this is where my memory gets foggy. I don't remember what season this is, but I know there's the Crystal Empire that is a thing that Cadence rules over. And I'm not going to go super into depth with what that is or whatever. Just Cadence exists, and she rules the Crystal Empire. Who cares? They don't care in the show. It only shows up every once in a while, so I'm not going to waste your time going in depth on why or how or who gives a shit. But it exists. And then Season 4 happens, Season 5 happens. The most important thing that happens is T-Rex shows up. I think that's the most important thing. I don't know. Twilight everyone gets some life lessons. It's all slice of life stuff. And then T-Rex shows up and is probably one of the coolest villains Twilight's faced. He's really up there. He isn't my absolute favorite, but, he is definitely up there. He's like my second or third favorite villain that the show has ever had. So he's a big, giant magic stealing dude, and he's been going around stealing all of Equestria's magic and just getting more powerful. And he has like just tons of magic by the time him and Twilight have a super epic magic duel. It's rad. So after that happens, Twilight gets a new castle. Who cares? Her library treehouse was perfectly serviceable, and her new castle's ugly, so it sucks. Probably would have been better if they didn't make a new one, but whatever. Oh yeah, also, like I said, I watched Magic Duel, which is actually kind of one of the important episodes, just because it has Trixie come back. She's a reoccurring character that comes back into relevance more in the later seasons. She was a minor antagonist in one of the worser episodes early on, and then she comes back as Magic Duel as, like, really, she has a magical amulet that's making her easy, not making her evil, making her easy. That would be quite the villainous scheme. Anyways, she has a magical artifact. It makes her evil. She basically obtained it to gain power because she wants petty revenge over Twilight. So that happens, and at the end, she and Twilight forgives her, and she runs off for several seasons, and there's going to be a problem there that I'll bring up later, maybe, if I get to it. But for now, so Season 5 is where relevant things start happening. Start of Season 5, big shift in some things that everyone at the time thought was interesting, and now I hate most of it. So, Season 5 starts having the castle basically magically sends the main characters out on missions. There's like a map they have, and the castle GPS just is like, there's a friendship problem here. And it's really dumb. I don't get how it works. I was really hoping they would explain more of it, but they kind of don't. Which I guess is, like I said, something I'm not a fan of in late. They didn't always explain every magical artifact later, like earlier in the series, but most of the ones they didn't felt a little more mystical to me. Like the elements of harmony. They're not the kind of things I really need explaining. They're, just this mystical set of orbs mystical set of whatever. They're these mystical set of whatever that just represent the best in ponies, and that, can be used to stop great evil. Okay, that's fine. Like, it's a bit saccharine, but I can wrap my head around it. And maybe that's just me, but I can legitimately wrap my head around, okay, so these are just, like, these are just artifacts that were somehow naturally, they were either naturally made or they were created to assist ponies in, you know, fending off evil, but only if ponies could find harmony. Something like that, right? Like, it's something like out of ancient legends. It's fine, I like it. But the map doesn't really do anything like that. Like, what kind of ancient legends is like, okay, well, we have a map and you're gonna get sent to this location. Magical GPS. It'll make sure you get there. Solve a vague problem in this area, please. And that's all it does. It just tells them to solve a vague like, it doesn't tell them anything about the problem. It just points them to a location, says, go. It's lazy? It's kind of lame. Like, it's just a way to get the characters to move around, which wouldn't have even been bad if they utilized it more, because the idea of the characters exploring more of Equestria sounds great, because that's something that people have been wanting for a while, including me, but see, that's the problem with Season 4 and 5. They underutilize things, like they underutilized Twilight being a princess. You would think there'd be a lot of episodes, even if that's not the show focus, you'd think there'd be a lot of episodes dedicated to that, right? Dedicated to the worries of being a princess, to the responsibilities, to the kind of mindset you have to put yourself in. But there's just not. That doesn't happen. And that's the same with this, where, you know, whether you like the map or not, they don't use it enough. It shows up in like 5 episodes in the season, and that's not enough for a new big gimmick, especially one that's supposed to show like, hey, we're gonna be exploring Equestria. So these days, I'm a big not fan. I think it's lazy, and it's something that's not only lazy, but they underutilize the heck out of while it's being lazy. Okay, but so they have this super magic map, whatever, and it points them to the middle of fucking nowhere. And in the middle of fucking nowhere is communism. that's the joke with Starlight Glimmer, is that she started communism. Is that she has a little village and she strips everyone of their cutie marks, which are the things that give them their special talents. They're different things that they're super good at. It signifies what they're good at, and like I said, it holds a power towards what that is. So she's been magically removing them. She's been stripping off cutie marks and being like, well, everyone should be equal. And the Season 5 opener was good. It's kind of ruined by Season 5 finale, but it was good. It had some fun ideas. Starlight Glimmer was mostly a good villain, and the removal of cutie marks was an interesting idea, even if it was proved to mostly be wrong. Most of the ponies who followed her weren't really happier. Most of them just sort of followed her out of, like, fear of losing the connection that they've made to other people in her little communism village. Or other stuff like that, right? Like, everyone wanted to fit in, so they just forced themselves to fit in, even though they were more miserable not being able to be good at anything. But even though that was her idea, that if you're not good at anything, you can never be bad at anything, which isn't true. That is distinctively not true, in my own opinion. I'm pretty sure taking away someone's best talents just makes them worse. But I think that's kind of the point here. Anyways, so Starlight Glimmer gets defeated. She's one of the few villains who escapes and isn't immediately just, like, you know, thrown to the moon or made into a good guy or something. This is a problem that we will tackle later. And by later, I actually might mean right now. Is there anything else in season 5? Like I said, they underutilize things. A lot of the things that do happen, I'm not going to go into great detail of. They do things like go hang out in the Griffin Kingdoms, which is cool for an episode. Even though the Griffin Kingdoms are terrible, Griffinstone sucks, and nobody there is happy. Not a big fan of Griffinstone, to be honest. I think they could have done something a lot better than, man, this town is total ass, and everyone hates it. But oh well. There are some legitimately good episodes mixed into there, even if none of them jump out at me at the moment. But anyway, so Season 5 finale happens. This isn't actually part of Season 6, which just always mixed me up, which I think I even, I didn't necessarily joke about, but that was part of a joke in my thing that I tried to get wrong information, even though sometimes I didn't. This was one I did, though, so the time travel is actually part of the Season 5 finale. It's not part of any Season 6 thing, though it does very heavily influence Season 6. So, Season 5 finale, Starlight Glimmer, totally enraged by Twilight dismantling her dictatorship, decides to travel back in time and split up Twilight and her friends. Which is stupid for so many reasons. One of which I will go ahead and point out now. So at the Season 5 opener, they actually had a cool thing where they kind of implied that, Twilight is probably the better magician, right? That's what you would assume. And Twilight blocks a spell because she's like, bitch, I know magic. And Starlight Glimmer's like, shit, I studied that for so long, I didn't realize you were so good at magic. Damn it. So Starlight Glimmer, just straight up runs away. She gets away. That's fine. I feel like I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, part of the reason she was defeated was because she didn't lose her cutie mark, because she had to have her cutie mark. She lied about losing her cutie mark, but she had to have her cutie mark to cast the spell to remove other ponies' cutie marks. In the episode, that was fine. It was, it brought in some weird questions on how that magic worked, and I still agree with my friend that probably should have used an artifact or something. But it was okay enough in that episode that it didn't make me mad. Season 5 finale comes around, and I'm fucking impossibly mad. So Starlight Glimmer, by just her own powers, travels through time in a spell that it does not seem like Twilight Sparkle could have cast. The main character who has been learning magic for 5 seasons now, and whose special talent is literally magic. And given that friendship is magic, and she's the princess of friendship, you think she'd have a fucking lot of that, right? So, Season 5 finale, already off to a bad start, especially with time travel, and they don't do anything very good with it. The best thing, they have a good idea with it. So what happens is that they keep going back in time, and Twilight Sparkle's having trouble stopping Starlight Glimmer, because Starlight Glimmer is Mary suing it up, and she's just the best at magic, and outdoing Twilight Sparkle because she is. Good writing. They have a long, drawn-out, lots of battles, and Twilight can't beat her, and Starlight can't beat Twilight's determination, And then Starlight gets sucked into one of the time portals and see that everything's fucking blown up to shit and shit sucks. And she's like, I didn't mean to do this. And Twilight's like, yeah, I don't know if you've been watching the show. I'm kind of a big deal. I've stopped like 5+ villains. The world would be pretty screwed if I died, if I wasn't friends with my friends, you fucking idiot. And Starlight still doesn't really have a very good, like, she still doesn't really get it. She still takes a while to stop being a bitch. And then we get her backstory, which is another slap in the face among the many other slaps in the face of the episode. So her backstory is a friend left town when she was a kid because he was magically talented, and he went on to learn magic in Canterlot. He went on to Magic Academy, and that's her backstory. Her entire backstory is a single friend left her to go be magically cool, so she hates special talents. Like, what? That is the worst villain motivation ever, and it makes her look so petty with the whole time travel thing. Like, I just don't get it. They don't do a very good job of explaining it, and as literally everyone ever has pointed out, it's like, you guys could have just sent letters. I don't know if you know about this thing called mail, but it exists. Mail certainly does exist. It canonically exists in the setting. Can't tell me it doesn't. And even if it didn't, it's not like he died or anything. I mean, like, travel is often shown to be pretty easy in the show. I'm not saying she could have gone to Canterlot any time, but I have trouble believing that she could have never gone to Canterlot, and especially in the time it took her to become super magical and evil. You're telling me she couldn't have been like, I could just take a train. If I put if I put 10% of the effort I'm putting into being evil into not being retarded, I could make a few bits, buy a train ticket, go see my friend. Problem solved. Or hey, she's so magical now, she can cast a teleport spell. Something that you don't have to be super magical to do. I mean, Twilight has shown to be quite capable of teleportation since season 1. And, Starlight Glimmer with all her Mary Sue powers is much more powerful than Twilight Sparkle season 1. So, just saying, it is one of the worst finale. It is probably the worst finale the show has ever had. It is terrible, and its ramifications basically ruin season 6. Season 6 has its own set of issues, but I was so done with the show after the season 5 finale. I wanted to quit forever. Season 5 finale is where they screwed up, and they almost ruined Starlight Glimmer's character, which is a shame because I do actually come around to her. She's an interesting and good character in seasons 7 and 8. Specifically season 8, she becomes a really good character that's really well-rounded. In season 7, she starts to get better. In season 6, she honestly has a lot of issues. A lot of them stemming from this finale here. So, I'll get into that. And I guess this is part of the complexities of what I said when I was making all my Starlight Glimmer jokes. Because, and also why I think it's complicated to get into the show now. Because the show gets really bad. It's reached one of the lowest lows I've ever seen for something that I kept watching. Season 5 finale and season 6 are just bad. If you can't just turn your brain off, you're gonna be so fucking enraged. Or if you care about the show at all. If you don't give a shit about the show and you just watch season 5, the finale, obviously you're probably just gonna be like, what the fuck is happening? you're probably not gonna be mad, right? But like, I feel like the average fan would be, though it's hard to say. Like, there's a surprising amount of people I've heard tell me that they really like the season 5 finale, and I won't take that away from them. I have heavily disagree, but I won't take that away from them. They can like what they like. You know, everyone can. I'm not gonna to be like, how dare you, or you're stupid, whatever. I think it's terrible. But the good news is I don't have to disagree as heavily on Starlight Glimmer anymore, because Starlight Glimmer becomes good. But she does not become good in season 6. In fact, she becomes kind of a psychopath, and I'm amazed they managed to fix her character, because season 6, every pony is really mean in season 6, that is the main issue, but Starlight Glimmer is definitely up there on the meme scale. So the things I memed about in my other video, Archer, like, she actually does have a mind control episode where she just controls the minds of some of the main characters because she doesn't understand how friendship work, and I'm like, that's not understanding how any living thing works. Like, how stupid and morally ambiguous do you have to be like, I'll just casually mind control people? They'll love it. Because I'll make them love it. Like, fuck you. It also, of course, has some really bad implications over spells and what she can cast and all that shit. It sucks ass, man. And even her, so one of the worst things with her actually stems from not just her being kind of Mary Sue-ish in her inception of a main, oh yes, I don't even think I got into it. So, she has a backstory, and so Twilight Sparkle is like, that's so sad, I can't believe that happened, but you don't have to be a bitch. And Starlight Glimmer's like, oh shit, I don't have to be a bitch, you're right, I could have a friend right here. And Twilight Sparkle's like, yeah, whatever, I'll be your friend, you dumb bitch. And so they become friends, and Starlight Glimmer becomes Twilight's pupil. And for season 6, very Mary Sue-ish and really badly written. So, for example, one of the first episodes Starlight Glimmer shows up in is Magic Duel. Not Magic Duel, the sequel to Magic Duel, basically. I forget what it's called, but it is the Return of Trixie. And it has a lot of issues. I think I've always said that. So, one of the major issues it has, is the fact that it's one of the first episodes that Starlight Glimmer shows up in. It's season 6, episode 6, and she doesn't show up in every single episode in the season up till that point. So, of course, an episode where she's only shown up a few times, she gets introduced to Princess Celestia, and Twilight's already like, wow, I can't believe how much you've grown. Like, it's really bad. It's really terrible. I don't know what in the heck they were thinking, but they needed a lot more establishing episodes. Like, tons and tons more establishing episodes of Starlight Glimmer hanging out with the main 6, getting to know the town, getting to, like, you know, understand ponies in general a little better, and just, like, you know, becoming a better person. before they threw her into, okay, well, you're the best, everyone loves you. Because, like I said, it comes off as very Mary Sue-ish and really dumb, and I hate it. And it's like that for a lot of this season. Like, a lot of this season, um, they congratulate her a whole lot on how far she's come and what a good person she is, and it's just really gross and dishonest feeling, at least in my opinion. So it's really frustrating to watch. Um, but besides that, Twilight challenges her to make a friend. Which, once again, you think you'd want to challenge her to do that maybe before you have Celestia over to be like, let's hang out and be like, the whole episode setup's fucking retarded. Okay, whatever. So Twilight's like, we're gonna hang out with Celestia, go make a friend in literally a day. For some reason. Because I couldn't inform you earlier because this episode sucks ass. So here we run into Starlight Glimmer's other major problem with her backstory. The whole time travel thing is time travel and dumb. And because it's time travel, most ponies don't know about it. And I don't know how much that means to you just hearing that, but it kind of ends up meaning in an anime sort of term, which I made a joke earlier about that. It kind of means that Starlight Glimmer doesn't have a redemption arc, which I didn't until they wrote out villains without redemption arcs, I didn't realize how freaking crucial that is. It is so, like, you would have to be a fucking genius at writing to write like, actually amazing at writing, to write a good villain who turns good without a redemption arc of some kind. Or, like, at least a redemption spot. Like, you know, a place where you see the good in the villain, or whatever. So, and what I mean by the redemption arc, so she does not, in her backstory, like, she gets told, yeah, you gotta come back, but she basically gets that by force, right? Like, she knows in the time travel thing that if she screws over Twilight Sparkle, she's going to destroy everyone. Everyone will die. She herself will probably die because of her own selfishness. So, you know, she decides to stop being such a prick and just gives up, right? So that's not really much of a redemption. It's actually pretty lame and, you know, the kind of thing that an actual villain who's still evil would do a lot of times, and they realize, like, oh shit, my plan is really bad. But okay, so that doesn't really ring redemption arc, and pretty much no pony around knows of her whole time travel thing, right? So the task of making a friend in a town of very friendly ponies should not be hard. It shouldn't be. It's something that, like, people who were massively into this show, or are massively into the show, dream about. Like, you know, it's like, man, what if I could go to Equestria and hang out with all my favorite ponies? What would it be like to become friends with Rainbow Dash, or, you know, spend a quiet evening with Fluttershy, or heck, just go and meet Lyra and be like, hey, you want to see my hands, girl? I heard you're into those. So it just feels really lame. That's like Starlight Glimmer can't make friends, and it's not like she can't make friends because ponies hate her because of what she's done. She just can't make friends because she's stupid. like, I can't explain it any other way. Like, it's not a very compelling, it's not very compelling, in my own opinion. It makes it really, really hard to relate to her, or like her in this scenario. And so this is where Trixie comes in. And something else I don't really like about this episode in particular. So she becomes friends with Trixie. And really the only reason she becomes friends with Trixie is because they both have dark pasts where they did bad things. But the thing is that they actually show the redemption arc for Trixie way better in the same episode where they're trying to redeem Starlight still. So Trixie's past has followed her because every pony knows that she came into town with a super evil, super magic amulet and tried to take Princess Twilight out of the town. She tried to just remove Twilight Sparkle from the town, and like she wasn't but she was ruling the town with an iron hoof afterwards, right? She removes Twilight for a bit and actually is ruling the town in a very like dictatorship sort of way of like, just serve me or I'll fucking beat the shit out of you with my magic kind of thing. So what do you expect to happen? Every pony fucking hates her. All the ponies see Trixie and they're like, hey, did you see it's that fucking bitch? You want to wait till she gets into a back alley and then, like, nobody likes Trixie very much after this. And not meta, but, in show, nobody likes Trixie very much at the moment, which is good. It's the same kind of redemption we had with, Sunset Shimmer. It's something that as a viewer you want to see a good character who did bad things change. You want to see them grow. You want to see their redemption. And when characters are written like, it is actually a very good thing, in my opinion. Like, it's kind of natural. People are scared of being ostracized, of being ousted by their community or by society as a whole. So it's a good feeling. It's something, I mean, heck, our justice, not social, but our justice system is actually based off of, right? That, like, the idea that people can change. Now, I know that that's not something that, sadly, our community, or whatever, believes in sometimes. Sometimes people can be really, really harsh to someone who's done wrong. But our justice system is built in the idea that people can change. We don't just say, oh, you're a thief. Let's just off with your head. Gone. We don't need you in this society. Like, you try and redeem people who've done wrong. You don't try and destroy them forever. So seeing someone who's done wrong actually become better and overcome the public opinion feels good. It feels right. So Trixie does that mostly well. She's a little bit of a jerk in the episode, and the only reason that's a problem, looking back on it, the only reason that that's really a problem is because everyone in the episode is a bit of a jerk. It's season 6's biggest problem, that for some reason in a lot of season 6 episodes everyone is just mean. And that's kind of the case here too, and the plot sort of demands it, but it's still everyone's meaner than they should be. Twilight is really distrusting of Trixie, which I don't agree with. I don't agree at all with Twilight's reaction to Trixie. In Magic Duel, she forgave Trixie. Like, legitimately was, like, it was sort of played up in a bit of a silly way, but she said she would forgive Trixie, and that felt like a very believable and good ending. And like I said, it still left Trixie open because Twilight might have forgiven Trixie, but there's a lot of ponies who didn't. So, I don't like that Twilight doesn't forgive Trixie entirely, and the same goes for Trixie, where she isn't trying to win Twilight's affections. She's just kind of a bitch to Twilight. Like, it's really dumb, and I just personally think it's played really, really poorly. But not as poorly as Starlight Glimmer's lack of redemption arc, which is, to be fair, not the episode's problem, it's the opener's problem. That because no pony knows what Starlight did, no pony can react to it. Like, the only way ponies can is if she goes out of her way to bring up, like, did you know that I had an overcomplicated plot where I tried to destroy the princess with time travel? It was really dumb. Like, nobody knows about that. The only ponies who have any kind of reason to hold animosity towards her are the ponies who are, in the village that she was, like, dictatoring over, right? The village where she's like, communism. But that doesn't really happen. Like, that doesn't happen until a while. When it does happen, I'll bring it up and explain why it doesn't work there either, but hey. Anyways, Magic Duel ends, whatever, they become friends, and then Starlight continues to have bumbling adventures. Oh, she also does something. See, one of the major issues is she tends to do things that are really villainous without thinking, which, like I said, it makes her feel like a psychopath. Like, I get they were trying to build her character to make her learn, but okay, so there's a quiet character called Big Macintosh. I like him a lot. He's pretty cool. He doesn't show up that much, but he's quiet and stoic and just generally a nice guy. Most characters in and out of the show like Big Macintosh. So she goes up to where Big Mac is with an Applejack, and she's like, hey, I want to make friends, and Applejack's like, well, I got a good friend right here, and she shows her brother, and he's like, and she's like, he doesn't talk much, but he's a swell guy, and Starlight Glimmer's like, well, I love to talk. I couldn't be friends with someone who doesn't talk. And she thinks for a second, and then she uses her magic to force Big Mac to talk non-stop. He can't stop. He just has to talk. And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I know they're trying to establish, like, oh, she uses magic in ways she should, but, like, that steps over the line. Kind of like the mind, not as bad as the mind control thing, but has the same issue, right? Where it's like, that is overstepping so many boundaries. You can't just force people to do things with magic and be like, it's okay. It's not okay. Something about it really just pisses me off because it's just such an invasion of privacy. Like, you know, I would hate someone who did something like that to me. The same with the mind control thing. Like, how is that person supposed to be in any way likable to us, let alone the people around them? Now, see, if that's the kind of stuff, ponies around her were like, did you hear it's that fucking bitch who fucking magicked Big Mac? He hasn't been the same since. Like, I mean, okay, it wouldn't make her likable in the slightest, but at least she would maybe be able to have some redemption arc stuff. But no pony's even really mad about it. No pony seems to give a shit aside from Applejack's. It's like, you've gotta fucking fix this or I'll kill you. She doesn't say that, but she kind of has that look about her where she's like, better do it. Anyways, so yeah, that is its whole own big thing, which makes Starlight Glimmer super frustrating for season 6, because it's basically all of her season 6. She goes around doing Mary Sue things, and you know, Twilight Sparkle's like, wow, you're such a good person. So season 6 finale happens, and it is the second worst finale. I think I'll call it not as bad as season 5, but I think the reason season 5's finale is so bad, there's two reasons. Its ramifications are really, really bad, and they affect the show for the entirety of season 6. If you watch the show, don't watch season 6. If you just want to casually watch some episodes, I can recommend some. Heck, if anyone wants to ask, I could recommend some of the better episodes. Not that I know if anyone's gonna watch this goddamn, like, fucking super rant, but who cares? If you watch this far, congratulations. You're almost at the hour mark. Guess you can consider it like a podcast. Hopefully, maybe I'll call it that. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I should start my own podcast. I'm good at fucking rambling on about shit. Anyways, no promises though, because outside of ponies, I don't know what in the heck I would talk about for hours and hours. But so season finale rolls around at its own sluggish pace, and once it gets here, it's a bad one. So, the changelings pop up again. Changelings were the thing that Chrysalis was. They're bug things. They do evil bug things, and they change forms. They're actually, I'm into them because they feed off of love, and they can shapeshift, and I'm like, that's pretty hot. That has a lot of fun ideas that, of course, the show never expands on because it's not that kind of show. But anyways, unfortunately, they're super underutilized in the show in good ways. So it's one of the worser finales. Chrysalis just sort of god modes and captures the main 6 off screen. We never see how the main 6 get captured by changelings or why. Like, yeah, we just never see that. So that happens, and then Starlight Glimmer is like, man, every pony's acting weird. This is bizarre, and they're acting like jerks because, I don't know, they couldn't have her be smart or something, which was a problem with the previous Changeling episode too, at the one that the finale. I think they should have made the Changelings smarter. I would have rather the pony who needs to figure it out. I would prefer Twilight to be like, you know, go all detective mode, and I would have liked a repeat of that with Starlight, where she's like, this is mysterious. Twilight doesn't remember some things that she should. Some very important things I should investigate. And, you know, like she starts picking up clues and hints and stuff and then discovers it. Rather than, wow, Twilight Sparkle is suddenly a huge piece of shit. Like, I know she's been a jerk some this season, but this is ridiculous. I ain't never seen Twilight Sparkle kick a puppy before. So, obviously, changelings are fucking retarded in this episode. Um, so here's where I think it's a. Oh yeah, that's why she doesn't get taken over or anything. So here's where Starlight Glimmer goes back to her starting town, which should have been in a normal episode and not in a finale. Unless I'm wrong, maybe they did in a normal episode. I don't remember them doing so, though. But I don't remember this season perfectly, I'll be honest. Regardless, she goes, and here's one of the other things that makes her redemption arc just not exist. And in season 6, she feels like a Mary Sue. So, guess what happens when this person who took over the town and, you know, tried to change everyone's worldviews into something that was fundamentally wrong in universe happens? Everyone's just okay. Everyone's immediately like, wow, you were a good leader. We liked you. Welcome back to our town. You want to help us celebrate? You can be our communist leader over the party we're throwing to celebrate being free from your communism. Like, they don't quite say that, all that, obviously, but, like, it's just so dumb. They immediately forgive her and throw her into a position of power, and I'm like, what? Like, come on. There needed to be more than that. There needed to be so much more than that, but there isn't. Nobody ever blames her or gets mad at her for her own actions. Even the really terrible ones she takes, like, you know, mind control. Okay, so sure, people get mad, but she doesn't get, like, proper... She doesn't get, like, a proper punishment or anything. You know, for doing something that is basically on a villain's level, it's not like she ever gets any kind of personal issue with this. Like, nobody smacks her around. Nobody really yells at her. Nobody tells her how stupid she is. And it makes her really frustrating to watch, because no matter what she does, everyone's just happy to accept her as a friend. And like I said, that makes her feel really Mary Sue. So anyways, that's not even a big part of the episode, though, which is another problem. Whether or not they were going to go with that route, she really needed some consolidation time with those characters. And guess what? She never gets them. She doesn't ever really consolidate with the ponies. Like, aside from that one time, she doesn't really spend a lot of time consolidating with the ponies that she had, you know, ruled over for a little bit. Because who would want to see character growth and interesting stuff like that, and like learning about these characters' lives now that they've had such a fundamental change? Who cares? I mean, I do, actually. I care a whole lot. I'm mad. I'm still mad that that never happened, that I have legitimately played a fan game that gives more fan service to Starlight Glimmer's town than the show ever does. But whatever. Weird, fun little dating simulators aside, so what happens with all that is, then Starlight Glimmer goes back to Ponyville, because I think Luna warns her in her dreams or something, which is another thing that makes the whole changeling thing less, I don't know, cool. I also don't even really know how Luna knew. I don't remember. Maybe the changelings went God mode and kidnapped the princesses because they went God mode and kidnapped the main characters. Who knows? I don't remember. Frankly, don't care. It sucks. Either way. But so Luna does things, and then we get a storming the castle type thing where Starlight Glimmer has to get together the B team of characters who aren't nearly as cool or good as things at the main 6 and get in. Um, there's her, there's Trixie, and there's a lot of who cares. um, there's Thorax. He's a changeling who's not evil, who's introduced later in the series and is about to be a huge headache. There's Discord, who I totally didn't meme at him at the thing, and can't believe I still haven't. I don't even remember when they brought Discord back when he was not a villain, but you know, he has the same problem with that Starlight Glimmer has, except his character never turned around. Starlight Glimmer didn't have a redemption arc, and but her character turns around in season 8, where they basically start to rewrite a lot of things. Season 8 is where the show starts to get good again, surprisingly so. I can't say I love it as much as some others do. Like, I know friends who claim it's the best season of the show, but it's a fucking good season of the show. Like, if I could consolidate all the seasons, I would take seasons 1 through 3, the best parts of 4 and 5, and just delete 6 and 7, and with like just trimming up, getting a few of those good episodes, and just slamming season 8 right next to season 4. So that should be season 5, I think. I know I'm explaining that weird. I'm just saying there's a lot of filler. There's a lot of nonsense you really do not need to watch to enjoy the show. And probably shouldn't watch because you probably won't enjoy the show after watching it. Season 6 finale is one of those things. So, okay, so they go with the B team. Not a terrible idea. Oh wait, no, I was explaining Discord. So Discord, he was the villain in season 2. He was a really cool, one of the best villains they had. Though he holds a weird place in my heart, because despite being one of the best villains they had on the show, and being really entertaining, they brought him back. And like Starlight Glimmer, they brought him back without a redemption arc. Because despite the fact that ponies totally know about Discord, I mean, he's a god of chaos. Obviously, ponies, even if they don't directly know what he did, well, actually, they should. They should know what he did, because it was like he was causing chaos in Ponyville, until he was stopped. So, you would think that ponies would hold at least a smidgen of animosity towards him, right? But they kind of don't, and he kind of never tries to fix any of his wrongdoings. So it has a very similar problem to Starlight Glimmer. The thing with Starlight Glimmer is when the show gets into the swing of it and they start understanding what her character should be, she stops being a psychopath and she starts being a real character who realizes, oh, I've made some mistakes, I'm going to try and fix it. But, you know, like, she becomes the what you would expect of that character. She was a villain, so she's sometimes a little tougher, maybe even a little meaner than the other main 6, but she is never outwardly crazy, she's never outwardly violent. Whenever she takes a magic shortcut, it's nothing so extreme as hypnotism or whatever. It's usually something a little more grounded. But in season, but with Discord, okay, they bring him back basically in one of the worst ways possible. Basically, Fluttershy guilt trips Discord into not being a villain anymore, which I didn't realize how terrible it was until I started to see the follow-ups to that, where I was like, oh no. So there's a lot of reason that Fluttershy guilt-tripping Discord sucks. It makes Fluttershy look really manipulative, and it makes Discord no better of a person. Once more, he is not redeemed, he's only doing this because Fluttershy gave him big sad eyes, and he just can't resist the cute. He has a big old flutter boner. Right, so, that is, and that is a very repetitious problem. So, okay, so Discord's routine, I don't remember all of his episodes, but they'll kind of follow a central theme of Discord being a dick. So, for example, there's an episode where he's invited to the Grand Galloping Gala, something that was once upon a time when the show was really good, considered to be a magical event that very few could attend. Now, whether it was magical or not, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to... If you watch the show, you know. I guess spoilers, no, it wasn't. The Grand Galloping Gala was not as magical as it seemed. But, it was still a big party. It was a big party for the rich, and, pretty much mostly just them. The big ol' snobs of Canterlot, which is why it's not as, like, everyone pointing out to it and they were like, this is kind of shitty. We don't really know or like anyone here. But okay, so in Season 5, they apparently laxed it up for some reason, and now it's not just for the snobs of Canterlot. I don't fucking know why. Wait, was it season? I don't know. Whatever season. Whenever the hell this happens. So Discord comes along because, of course he does. I don't know why this is the thing there. Like, Discord has to go to the Grand Galloping Gala. It'll be amazing. And basically the only thing that Discord does in the episode is get jealous of Fluttershy for having a friend that isn't him. And that's what he does, and then he just trolls everyone all episode. And throws a temper tantrum when Fluttershy wants to hang out with her other friend. So... how is that likable? You answer me that, because I don't know. The only redeeming factors I've ever heard about Discord is that he's funny, but I don't really find him funny anymore, because that's always his thing, is that he's just such an asshole. Like, you know, there's, another episode later on where they have a Dungeons and Dragons stand-in. And you'd think the God of Chaos would love games, right? You'd think he'd be all about that Dungeons and Dragons life. You'd think he'd immediately want in on the game. But no. The first half of the episode is spent with Discord coming in and ruining game night and being like, come on guys, let's have some chaos. You're just sitting around playing a board game. This is fucking bullshit. I hate it. I hate doing things that... You know, I hate doing normal pony things, like actually having fun. That's stupid. If you're not having fun my way, you don't get to have fun. So he basically throws a temper tantrum again. He's like, I don't want to play D&D, and you guys don't get to play D&D. Fuck you. And eventually he comes around to it, and, you know, then he's like, D&D is actually pretty cool. But that's like... most of the episode is just him coming around to liking it. Why couldn't the entire episode just be Discord likes D&D and he makes it more fun because he makes the pieces come to life and all kinds of cool, wacky shit. You know? But of course they don't do that. Discord has to be an asshole. He has to try and ruin fun. Because that's what chaos is about, apparently. It is about being the worst person you can possibly imagine. So that's basically all Discord does. I mean, he has another episode. The one episode he gets to... he even is close to any of the other main six who aren't Fluttershy is an episode where he keeps the secret from Twilight. And Twilight's like... all like, what is this? Why are you keeping a secret from me with my friends? And he's all like, haha, maybe they're my friends more than your friends. And he's just being a manipulative asshole. And then when everyone realizes, because the other friends aren't really in on it, they're just like, hey, Twilight, I don't know, maybe Discord's not so bad. And then he's like, ha, joke's on you, I was just trolling the entire time. And of course everyone's fucking mad. I don't even know why they hang out with him after that one. Like, oh, you hung out with us so you could piss someone off. That's a thing that good people do, right? Nah, I fucking hate Discord so much. And they never fix it. He's always like this. Every single episode he's in, he is pretty much undefendable. Even when he does good things, it's for selfish reasons. Like, for example, the season 7 finale, or season 6 finale, when he's like, when they need the B-list characters, and Discord's like, Fluttershy's in trouble, I'll fucking wreck some changeling ass. That's bullshit. I'll defend my Fluttershy, and I know that some people are like, hey, that's hard, that's funny, but it's like, I don't know, like, can I really... That's literally his only reason. He wants to save Fluttershy. Am I really supposed... Once again, am I supposed to like him? Because there's a lot of other ponies at stake. A lot of other ponies I care a whole lot about. And I like Fluttershy. I really do. But, like... she isn't the only pony I care about in the entire show. I wouldn't just be like, well, every pony else can die, but I've got to save Fluttershy. That's fucking sick. Like, I wouldn't say that to about any of the main 6. I like all of them. I mean, I wouldn't realistically say that about much of any person. There's very few people I'd be like, they can fucking die. They can die being changeling food. I don't want to save them. But anyway, so Discord's a piece of shit. And his character is never, ever, ever fixed. And it probably won't be fixed. I hope he doesn't show up in season 9, because he's literally the worst part of the show to me right now. You cannot redeem Discord, in my opinion. He's one of the few characters I legitimately don't like art of. Like, I'll see art of him and I'm like, I appreciate that you draw things, especially things of these more complicated characters, but I don't want to look at porn of him because he's so stupid. He's such a fucking child. In the worst sort of way. Like, that's actually something I've heard in a video that fully agree on, where I'm like, this he's a fucking man-child. He's a fucking internet troll. It's all Discord is, and it's so lame, especially when he was actually a cool and interesting villain, but now I sort of wish they never brought him back in the first place. Okay, so season 6, they go into the change. So one of the things that definitely hurts the episode, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, is changelings use magic, right? They're a heavily magical race. They use magic to change, and they can, from what we see, use magic somewhat like a unicorn can, with their horns. So, okay, that's fine. That's all right. That's actually kind of cool. So changelings can do pony things like that. And they also have bug-like wings, which they can fly with, which helps them replicate whatever they need to, right? Like, they can pretend to be a unicorn, they can pretend to be a Pegasus. That makes sense. And they're a race that's usually villainous, or were at the time, so I wouldn't really call them, you know, Mary Sue's or anything. Especially because we don't know how especially good they tend to be at flying or magic. And unfortunately, something we still don't know. That being said, so, in the season 6 finale, they have a super magic chair, for some reason, which is an anti-magic chair, I should say, which disables all magic. I get that they didn't want the main. I know the thing. I know the conflict couldn't have been solved in 2 seconds by magic. I don't want that, but. And I know it's on an action show, so having Starlight Glimmer bust in there and have a bunch of super epic fight scenes probably wasn't in the budget. But it's just such a lame explanation because, like I said, changelings use magic. How does this anti-magic chair differentiate between magic types? Especially because it somehow also works on Discord's chaos magic, which really manages to make him look lame again, like he needed help with that. So, the one thing that Discord should be able to do, and he can't do it because of a chair. Cool. Awesome. Alright, so Discord, obviously not very useful in the episode. But I don't know, I never really understood this idea that like they have an anti-magic chair that just blocks out apparently every type of magic besides changeling magic. I'm like, that's just lazy. Like, that's all kinds of lazy, at least in my opinion, just having like a super anti-magic generating artifact. I'm like, man, you gotta write in something a little cooler. And like I said, once again, it makes the changelings feel really god mode-y in the episode, where like the changelings just have this stuff apparently, right? Like they just have this anti-magic chair that they've always had, totally. Like, you know, it's not like they could have used a little bit of that in Season 2 when they got their asses kicked. Or anything like that. And it's not like this is ever brought up again. So this just exists. So whatever, main character, not main characters break in and make their way through the changeling hives, and they try and do the, like, I don't know, epic RPG thing where the characters are slowly peeled off one by one as everyone's like, I'll hold off these changelings, or I'll distract these changelings, or excuse me, I'm going to be sucking a lot of changeling dick here. You should probably just go ahead. I'll probably be here a while. There's a lot of changelings. You know, stuff like that. So Starlight Glimmer gets the final boss battle, but of course she doesn't have magic, so she just loses because she didn't really have a plan. Chrysalis shows up and she's like, "Hey girl, I haven't been here in a while, but I'm gonna kill your face," and Starlight Glimmer's like, man, this plan of just throwing myself into the enemy base was really bad. Maybe I should have had an idea of how to break this super magic chair before I got in, like explosives or something. But now I'm just stupid like that. I just walked in without a plan, because that's what I don't have a plan. If I don't have magic, I don't have a plan. Season 6. Glimmer. Anyways. So then Deus Ex Machina stuff happens where Thorax is like, bros, we don't need to take love. Ponies can just love us because we're cool. And ponies love loving. And then he's like, give me your love, or some shit. I don't remember how it goes. That's really fucking stupid. So everyone gives Thorax his love, and then he Care Bear beams them all into being another race that's the same race, but they're supposed to be prettier, but they're fucking disgusting looking. I way prefer the original changeling design, and I'm so mad they changed it, not only because the new design is trash, which doesn't help things, but kind of because I don't know, like, I know it's not unheard of in the show. In fact, a lot of villains have a change once they're reformed. But I feel like in this case it sends a slightly worse message, because a lot of other times it at least had a better lore explanation, but here it just kind of doesn't. Here it just, I don't know, it sort of feels like it's like, okay, well, if you're good, you have to be pretty, right? Like, we can't have a race of non-pretty things in our universe. You're good, so good is pretty, right? Like, that's dumb. I hate that. And I don't feel like that's what a lot of the other changes to villains does. Like, I guess a good example is Luna, right? Like, Nightmare Moon, sure, she looks less intimidating when she's Luna than when she's Nightmare Moon, which is by the way, Nightmare Moon was the very first villain of the show, for anyone who doesn't know. She was, the Princess Luna, who would come back as basically she was basically like an evil version of the princess. She wanted nighttime to last forever, so every pony could always appreciate her moon. And with the elements of harmony, they showed her that she was wrong, and that was really fucking dumb. And they got rid of the evil basically possessing the princess. So that's it, you can argue either way. I'm not going to say that that's some genius writing. I think it was okay. I think it was entertaining and told well enough that I didn't have any complaints, especially early on in the show. It set up some neat stuff. But Luna gets a lot smaller and a lot cuter after being transformed, and funny enough, then later on she looks more like her sister and less like her small cute self, but not really like Nightmare Moon either. Regardless, but Nightmare Moon, like, she looked scary, but it was, I don't know, she didn't really, like, I guess the changelings, the original changeling designs feel like they were built to be scary, if that, like, they were built to be unappealing, and Nightmare Moon is sort of that, but she's not really unappealing. She just looks like a villain in this kind of show. Like, honestly, Nightmare Moon's pretty good looking. I like her design. So it didn't really bother me, because I'm like, they just made it less strange. Like, you don't have this pure black mare. Like, she doesn't look like a total edgelord stomping around being massive compared to other ponies with her fangs and, like, you know, other shit being, like, wandering everywhere in her armor. She looks, you know, more normal compared to other ponies all still standing out. Which is fine. And I'm trying to remember if they really even, because a lot of the other villains don't really have that. I mean, even Starlight Glimmer, like, the most that happened after she stopped being evil was a main change style, because, I don't know. Actually, I don't know why she needed a main change style. But, she got one, because I guess being good gives you a hair change. But that doesn't really, that's kind of minor. It's not the same as changing the entire looks of a race of ponies. It's fucking dumb. I don't know. I didn't like it, but regardless of if you like it or not, the biggest issue with it is the fact, like, even any kind of moral issues aside that you may or may not have with it, the biggest issue is, to me, is just that the fucking new designs are bad. Which I showed one the other day, and it's not that hard to find. I'm probably not going to bother showing them on screen. You don't need to, like, and the designs do differ, right? But most of them have this, like, weird, super colorful stag beetle thing, where they just threw on color, and we're like, it's a good day, this is good. All we have to do is throw on as many colors as possible, and kids will love it. No, I think it's terrible. I don't love it. I'm not a kid, but I don't love it. So that's unfortunate. And, so that's a thing that happens. They turn all the changelings good, except for Chrysalis, who's like, you guys are fucking bitches. Man, I was gonna let you have your way with all of the princesses, and now y'all can go suck a dick. I'm gonna go hang out in my basement for another couple of seasons. Or I guess another season and a half. Alright, so that happens, and at first I was really worried, because they have some pretty, like I said, Season 5's terrible, terrible finale had some massive ramifications. This has some ramifications, and it actually did make me stop watching the show for a bit, because I didn't like the finale at all. It not only, like, outside of design things and personal preference towards the changelings, it all felt really cheap. Like I said, Starlight Glimmer goes in there without a plan at all. She just walks right into the enemy base without any kind of magic or anything, and despite the fact that she is totally unprepared, she just kind of wins by complete dumb luck. And really only because Thorax was there. If Thorax wasn't there and didn't use his magic of ascending to being a weird, gross-looking king, every pony would have just died. So I was like, this finale is pretty trash tier. I hate it. I'm done with the show. We've had 2 bad finales in a row, and I can't take this shit. And we had a really bad season. 28 Pranks Later happened. Worst episode ever, beside not counting finales. So I was done. I was gone. No more. No more me forever. So I ended up getting back into the show in season 7 because I heard it was getting better. And you know what's amazing? It didn't. Season 7 is way, way better than season 6. Even the changeling thing, which I expected to hate, and I still don't like in context, like I wish they had have done it a lot better. The changelings, or whatever you want to call them, are actually fine. They're actually entertaining, and they've been a fine addition to the races of the show that are, like, considered, like, you know, good races, or whatever you want to say it is. They are generally entertaining, and also they're really stupid. Which I presume is maybe because whoever is writing for them realized how garish and ugly they are every episode. And any time a writer pops in there like, these things are garish and horrible looking, I'm gonna make them retarded. So that's usually the joke, is that they're retarded. Which I expected to hate, but, like, despite the fact that Thorax sounds and acts like a really stupid person, he's just so stupid. I have trouble hating him. He's like, I said retarded, but like he is the kind of person who, despite not being prepared and not being the best and not being that smart, he tries. He's trying to be a king for his people of a race that is not the best or very smart or very good. So they're like, I guess they're the super underdogs of, like, you know, they're the super underdogs of a race that just has nothing going for them right now. I mean, the main thing they have going for them, their changed powers do a lot less good now that they're good guys, because, I mean, nobody really wants to be friends with you if you're pretending to be somebody you're not, right? Like, most ponies want to know the real you, not, like, another pony that you're pretending to be. That being said, I kind of wish that something they had have tackled is, like, you know, with some changelings or something, is like, how do we be friends? We're not used to this. And maybe, like, some changelings trying to hide behind like, pony sonas still, and being like, you know, we're normal ponies, and I don't know, like a lesson about being yourself or whatever. I think that would have been sweet. I think that would have been a fine cap off to that whole idea. They never really do that, but they do some stuff with the Changeling King and all of that, and a lot of Season 7 stuff is pretty fine. They still have definitely dumb things that happen throughout the season, but nothing as bad. I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember the worst thing they had happen. It's no 28 Pranks Later, and it's no... Actually, I think the worst thing... I don't even remember. I don't know if the worst thing during Season 7 was the baby, or if that was part of Season 6. I know that at one point after Starlight Glimmer comes back... Okay, that was Season 6. So that was another bad thing that happened in Season 6. Cadence and Shiny Armor have an Alicorn baby. Why? How? I don't fucking know, man. I don't... Like... The way that the Alicorns have been previously presented to us is that they are not born, they are made. An Alicorn is created when they do something worthy of being an Alicorn, right? Like, when they've ascended to a higher plane, basically, like I said, another plane of power. We don't know what all the princesses did to become Alicorns. I would love to hear the stories, but like if a really good writer did those, and maybe there's a fan fiction out there. I should probably search for that, see if I can find I'm pretty sure there's a fan fiction of like how Celestia became an Alicorn or something, or how Cadence became an Alicorn. I'd read that. Or how Luna came on, of course. But anyways, So, they introduce a baby into the show, and that's basically just dumb. Luckily, it is a very, very non-existent part of the show. They basically don't do anything with the baby, but it's one of those babies where it's like, wow, look at the super Alicorn baby. It can do stuff like almost destroy a town. It's so magical. And it's fucking shit. I am not a fan of having a baby with its really only purpose in the show is to cause problems. Like, that's all it does. Because it's a baby, it doesn't have a character. So, I don't like its presence in the show. I'm not saying I don't like Flurry Heart, because that almost seems unfair. Like, I don't like I just said, it's not really a character. I don't like this baby who can't even talk yet. What a bitch. Like, it just sounds weird to say that to me. Even though that's kind of how I feel. Like I said, it's more about her existence in the show. Like, she's kind of canon breaking with her very existence. And even outside of that, she really doesn't do anything, like, at all. Like, she just sort of doesn't need to exist. I mean, legitimately, she just shouldn't exist. I don't even mind if they had a baby. I just wish it wasn't an Alicorn. And I also wish it wasn't a season opener, like some kind of major focus of a big episode right after we had a non-redemption arc for Starlight Glimmer. Her first grand adventure is a baby. Sure. Whatever, Season 6. Glad we're done with Season 6. I wish I could just destroy it. I wish that Season 6 was gone forever. Blown off the face of time. If I had time travel magic, I would travel back in time, make Season 6 not happen. Fucking Starlight Glimmer. That's what you get. I don't know, I'm dumb. Anyways. So, but like I said, show gets worse. So Season 7, they introduce Beginning of season 7, they have... I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, they have another dumb episode with Starlight Glimmer, which is... It's the closest they've come, but it comes after season 6 is the issue. So at the beginning of season 7, they have another episode where they suck Starlight Glimmer's dick, and they say, "You've grown so much as a person and a student, you're graduating." And it's like, she hasn't. And some people, like, even some people still, in the my group friends say it's a good episode. I disagree the heck out of that. I do not like that episode. I don't like it for a few reasons. Discord is a major part of it. He takes a part of the episode. And Starlight Glimmer, while I have warmed up on her, did not deserve it yet. At this point in the show, season 7, episode 1, she did not deserve to graduate. She had not proven herself to the audience or to the characters in the show, at least on screen. And it was very premature to try and have this graduation where suddenly she's not Twilight Sparkle's student. And it felt very... the show term for clickbaity, if that makes sense. Because I think it was hyped up that way, or maybe it wasn't. But, like, because the way the show presents it is this big conflict of, like, Twilight's like, you're not my student anymore. You're gonna have to go and become your own pony. You're gonna have to learn just like I did. And, of course the episode ends with her being like, "No, I don't want to move on and be my own pony. I want to be your student more." And it's like, it's fucking dumb. I hate that shit. It makes everyone in the episode look dumb, and it kind of kills the entire message of the episode of moving on, when at the end of the episode, the characters just say, "We're not ready to move on," especially when Starlight Glimmer wasn't ready to move on in the first place, which might make it the best outcome, but they didn't really show that in the episode. Like, it wasn't like the episode was about Starlight Glimmer's not ready to move on. It was an episode about Starlight Glimmer should move on, and all these great opportunities that could wait for her, or fucking whatever. So it's dumb. It's a bad episode, especially the ending. And especially just it's dumb. It's bad. I don't like it. But a lot of season 7 is better. Starlight Glimmer starts having some episodes where she's not a complete tool, which is much needed at this point. There's still some bad stuff. I think there's an episode where some, like, Iron Will, he's a minor character in season 2, shows up, and he's like suddenly a villain. There's some dumb shit like that. I can't remember much of season 7. I think it's okay. It was somewhat close to Return to Form, but it didn't quite capture what the older, like, really seasons... It didn't capture what seasons 1 through 3 did. Not helped by the fact that it was very, very heavily held down by a lot of baggage. It still had to get over Starlight Glimmer, and it took me a long time to get over Starlight Glimmer, and hopefully I've done a good job of showing why. Because I do like Starlight Glimmer now, but the show really tried hard to make me not like Starlight Glimmer. Like, it tried so freaking hard to make her unredeemable in my eyes. Did everything possible to make me be like, wow, could she be any worse of a person? Luckily, there's Discord to show what a worse person looks like to everyone. No. But yeah, so I don't really, I think, see, here's unfortunately where my memory goes a little fuzzy on what episodes are where, but Starlight Glimmer starts to get a little bit better, and then the season 7 finale happens, and we have an actually decent finale for once, where, okay, so I actually had to look up episode lists to make sure I wasn't being dumb. So episode No, so season 7 has an amazing episode that I want to recommend, and a controversial episode that I want to say I didn't like, but some people might. Though you'll only like it at all if you're huge into the show. So, season 7 has the perfect pair. This is an episode that could have been in a lot of seasons, honestly. Season 7 was not where it needed to be, but that does not make it any less special. It is an episode about Applejack's parents. Characters who have never appeared in the show, and who they've even kind of alluded to are fucking dead. And this episode confirms that they are dead. But it does a lot of really emotional things with these characters who are dead, who we learn about. Like, it's a really beautiful episode that I didn't expect to see from this series at all. Like, I didn't think they'd ever, because they don't really tackle death head on, but I didn't think they would grow so close to tackling death, and they do it really well, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. So, if you were ever into the show, even for a little bit, you can skip over a lot of this stuff. It doesn't have a lot of the new characters. It doesn't have a lot of the new drama. You can skip over a lot of stuff, and I'd say as long as you watched and were a fan of seasons 1 and 2, I'd say 1 and 2. Plus, you can enjoy the perfect pair. So, I don't know why I say 1 and 2. I guess just 1 doesn't feel like it'd give you enough context if that's all you've watched, but maybe it still would. Either way, so it's just a touching episode. I can't really say that much about it, but that's okay. I wouldn't really want to spoil it. Like, it is just a beautiful episode, and I'd recommend it. And hopefully anyone who watches it can enjoy it, and hopefully I don't oversell it. But I feel like every time, like, I had heard about it. It's actually part of what got me back into the show. I had heard about it. I'd heard there was this amazing episode I just had to see, and I was spectacle, or is spectacle? That's not the right word. Skeptical. Words. I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if there's gonna be anything, because I've heard some people say that about episodes I fucking hated. Like, man, you'll love this Discord episode now. Perfect Pair, though, really did blow me away. It is absolutely beautiful and worth a watch, assuming you're at all into the show, or ever were into the show. And the only reason I don't recommend it to anyone, like, if there's anyone who's just a fan of me who's not a fan of the show, which I don't think is the case, but even if that is the case, the only reason I don't recommend it to anyone who's never seen the show is I feel like if you don't have an appreciation, like, you don't at least have the base knowledge of who Applejack and her family is, you probably won't enjoy the episode, right? Like, Applejack, like, it's a pretty core part of the episode, and of course, it's not like the episode has time to establish Applejack, her family, and her, like, long-dead family. Her, like, they need to do a lot of things in a short amount of time, and they do very well. Okay, so that's good. Great. Fame and Misfortune. Worst episode of season 7, in my opinion. It is... it is a very controversial episode. So basically, it is a meta episode, which is not always good, and in this one I thought was a not good one. They can be done well. I mean, I thought episode 100, Slice of Life, beautiful episode. This one, terrible. Fame and Misfortune. So, it's an episode where Twilight Sparkle publishes her friendship lessons that she wrote from, like, 3 seasons plus ago. Wait, she wrote them in, like, who cares? I think it was season 2. I think it was season 2, they were writing the friendship journal, and then, like, they just stopped. I don't really remember why that stopped being a thing, but they stopped writing in the friendship journal. And so Twilight Sparkle pulls out the book and is like, wow, this is a blast from the past. Remember all of this rad shit that we did? Man, it feels like just yesterday when we were, like, learning lessons. I should, like, publish this book and get the word out to show every pony and, you know, help teach lessons. It's a very nice sentiment, actually. And the kind of thing I wish she had have done earlier. Twilight Sparkle writing a book makes sense to me. But, of course, it's a bad episode in my opinion. So, what happens is that the book spreads around, and every pony's taking the wrong lessons from the book, and they start criticizing all of the things they see, right? Kind of like what I'm doing here. They take the time to be like, man, I can't believe that Fluttershy just keeps learning the same lesson again. Man, Twilight was cooler before she was a princess. Rarity's the worst pony. Like, you know, shit like that. Basically, the grand masses become the internet. Now, the problem I have with this episode is, one, it makes a lot of ponies, like the general ponies you see around Equestria, look really bad, and that's something the show has done before, and sometimes it's even necessary, but it didn't, I don't know, in this episode it just feels really mean. Like, it feels really forceful, where all these ponies are just the worst pony ever over a book. Okay. But I guess that's where it comes into conflict with my interpretation of the show and reality. Because I'm not saying that kind of thing never happens, but I don't think it needed to happen in this show. And I also think that it's taken to a very large extreme here. See, part of the usefulness of something like a show like this is it's animated. All the characters that people are always talking about whenever people are like, Rarity's worst pony, blah blah blah, or Fluttershy's dumb tree, or, you know, saying mean, hurtful things. They're not saying those about real people. Like, I might have the strongest opinions of of any of the ponies, right? Like, I might have a seething rage for Discord, but I do not blame the actor. I would never be mad at or make any threats at all towards the actor, and I will never make any threats towards anyone like, I do not want to hurt anyone related to the show, even people who wrote Discord as being the biggest asshole. Like, there's a lot of reasons that could have happened. Maybe there's pressure on from higher up. Maybe they just really don't understand how to write a fun character. Maybe without a redemption arc, Discord's really just in an unsalvageable state, especially by now. Like, there's a lot of reasons why someone might miswrite Discord. I mean, heck, I can't promise that if I wrote a fanfiction right now, and I wanted to make Discord likable and great and, like, an amazing character, I might mess that up. I might make him very Mary Sue-ish, or I might overplay his playfulness and make him annoying like he is in the show, right? Like, it fucking happens. And I'm not mad at anyone working on anything related to this show for it. I'm just mad at Discord. But Discord doesn't exist. He can't have his feelings hurt. If I say Discord is my least favorite character in anything ever, and he is a bad person. Which I don't know if he's my least favorite character, but you know what I mean. If I go full on exaggeration, full internet rage, I still am not hurting him because he doesn't exist and he can't be hurt. Now, I get where they're going, that some people can take it to another level. The problem that this episode gets onto is kind of the fact that it's hard to explain that in the show, right? Like, the ponies who are mad aren't attacking the writers or whatever. The ponies who are mad are attacking the ponies who actually lived through these adventures. I think a better way to do it would have been maybe a third party if you wanted to go that meta angle, right? Like maybe there's a group of ponies who publish a book about Twilight Sparkle's adventure, Twilight Sparkle and her friends' adventures. Because they're like, wow, you're the princess, and I really, I think I could teach everyone at Pony a lot, and, then they have this conflict that a lot of ponies are taking good things out of context and criticizing the author, and, at this point, not even going after the ponies, they're going after the authors, being like, how dare you Flanderize the princess? All of your stories are wrong. I know what's right. Doing that kind of bullshit. Because without that third party, you really take away the realness of it, I guess. How strong I think the meta commentary can be. Because I feel like most people who are actual fans of the show, if they got a chance to meet any of the main characters, they probably wouldn't bother calling any of them Worst Pony. Even if you don't particularly like Rarity, are you gonna, who could call Rarity Worst Pony to her face? I think if you were in a crush, you have bigger fucking concerns than that, my friend. Fucking hell. It's such a dumb episode. And, like I said, it makes everyone unlikable, and while they try to get along this message that nobody's perfect, it feels really off to me. The song itself isn't very good, which doesn't help. They sing about how nobody's perfect. But it also does feel like it's kind of just deflecting criticism, well, yeah, we've learned these, sometimes you have to learn the same lesson twice. Nobody's perfect, and I'm like, that's true, but that's not really how story progression works. You can't just say, oh, well, nobody's perfect, my character has to keep learning the same thing again, because that's kind of called being a bad writer. And it's not to say no lesson ever can relapse, it's just the amount of times lessons relapse, because it has been an ongoing show, and the amount of times lessons relapse can be kind of silly. I can't blame anyone who has had criticisms of that for the show. And as long as those people are not harassing people actually working on the show, it's not a problem. And I know that there are people who have done that. But I'm not saying that the world's perfect and nobody ever has harassed the people writing the show. But I'll put it on another spin. Remember that this is a kid's show, and as a child, what do you take away from this episode? And that's something I usually don't go for, unless it's episodes I find really piss me off on a moral level. But I just don't get it, right? I don't understand as a children's show, if you're advertising to an audience of people, some of which might not even use the internet, and you're trying to entertain them, how is it entertaining to watch an episode where every pony is mean to your favorite characters, all for publishing a book? And that's even kind of the mindset I take away from it myself, where part of the reason it's a bad episode isn't just because I don't fully agree with the meta commentary. It's also a bad episode because it isn't a good episode without the meta commentary. I think a good episode should be entertaining, even if you don't understand all of the in-jokes. It should still have an energy to it. It should still have a purpose. But they kind of don't. If you don't understand the meta commentary, it's just a half hour of ponies being really mean to the main six. And it just feels really gross if you think about it like that, because even understanding the meta commentary, I can't help but think of the non-meta statement in universe that, like, this book, the friendship lessons we've been following the entire fucking show, apparently just destroy the universe. They just make every pony so mad. They turn into raving lunatics who have to, ruin the main six's day. And I'm like, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing to put in the show. That's just, I hate it. And I know some people don't, but I just can't get over that. It feels wrong, and and not helped by the fact that the episode doesn't even have an ending. The ending is literally just the main six hang out in their castle, and they're like, people will stop being mad eventually. It's like, fuck you. You can't just say that's the end of the episode and have that end the quote-unquote conflict, because it doesn't. That isn't how you end a story. So I despise the episode. Like, really hard. It is without a doubt my least favorite of season 7. And I know it has some mixed feelings. Like I said, I know that some people love it. Some people are like, it's such a real commentary. But I guess that's what I mean when I say I feel like people are... I feel like people take the meta... Like, I think people take it a little too literally, and maybe even some of the people writing take it too personally. Because, like I said, I know that some people really take it to an extreme. But I feel like people are really thin-skinned these days sometimes. Like with criticism. Or with criticizing something you like. Or like... I feel like some people would look at what I'm doing and say I'm literally doing what those ponies are doing. But like I said, it's not one-to-one. I'm not attacking any real things. And even saying how much I hate this episode... I'll never attack the writers. If I remember right, the writers of the episode even wrote some stuff. I think they're big names in the writer team. I think they wrote stuff I fucking love. So, like, I can't. I wouldn't and couldn't hate them for this. It is, it is a difference of opinion. It is a difference of perspective. It's a difference of so many things that it would not make sense to me to show actual anger to real people. And anyone who does that, yeah, don't do that. Don't actually hate real people for things they create. Because sometimes things they create don't always say exactly what they want them to, or sometimes they mean different things to different people through different life experiences. Like, I mean, I am admittedly kind of cut off from a lot of news things, a lot of brony things. If there are more instances than I realize of these things that, like, I'm criticizing as probably not that big of a deal, then Like, sure, or well, maybe not that prevalent. I mean, they're a big deal. Like, if the authors are ever being attacked, if the actors are ever being attacked, it's a big deal. But I've never seen that from my perspective as especially prevalent, in the circles I run in. I've never seen anyone I know be like, man, I fucking Tara Strong's the worst. I can't believe she even voiced those Twilight lines when Twilight said that dumb bullshit in season 6. Like, no one I know says that. Everyone's like, man, I can't believe that Twilight, I can't believe that. That's nonsense. Twilight wouldn't say those things. That's dumb. You know? It's different. Very different. Okay, so getting back on track, because I've wasted a lot of time talking about Fame and Misfortune. So I wouldn't recommend watching it unless you think you'll enjoy it. But you might want to watch it if you haven't been keeping up. Well, actually, okay, don't watch it if you haven't been keeping up with the show. I guess that's another problem with it. If you're not keeping up with the show, I mean, it's probably not going to make that much sense. Like I said, it's a meta episode. You have to not only be keeping up with the show, but keeping up with some of the fan stuff around the show, right? Like, you have to know the rarity or is worst pony thing, or the, like, you know, I mean, not all of them make that much sense to me. Like, everybody goes and just hangs out on the apple farm like it's normal, and for some reason Applejack doesn't kick them out. Like, that doesn't really make sense. Like I said, it's not a very good episode. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. Like, I don't know why Rarity is worst pony, but Rainbow Dash is best pony, but Applejack is also best pony. Oh, and suddenly Pinkie Pie is considered the funniest thing ever, and every pony laughs at what she says, and somehow that's a problem. Even though, like, that's not... I mean, she's kind of shown to be the ultimate jester that can make anybody laugh and loves seeing them smile, so it's just a lot of dumb bullshit in the episode where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That's a dumb conflict, and you should have thought it more through before it happened. Oh no, why did this happen? How could this happen to me? Okay, so Season 7, ends, and they have this, big thing where the pillars of friendship come back, and those are, like, ancient figures that we've seen throughout the season, which were admittedly not very well shown off, because the Season 7 still has some problems. That being one of its major ones, is that it doesn't do its theming very perfectly. But they bring back these Pillars of Equestria, and they're like ancient legendary ponies that are like, hey, look at how cool these are, and so of course the thing is that they come back and they end up not being perfect, and that's the whole Season 7 finale. It's okay. It's not. It is a massive step up from Season 5 and 6's finale, which I think is why it gets as much praise as it does, because we came off of the two worst finales in the whole show, and then we get a finale that's like, I don't know, it's not worse than some of the, like, earlier ones. Like, it's not really worse than the Crystal Kingdom finale or whatever. It's fine. There's not really a whole lot to be said there. I mean, like, the ancient legend ponies come back, and time travel happens a little bit, but not nearly as prevalent, really. Actually, it's not time travel. They just get, like, they basically got, like, stasis trapped, right? And then, like, got stasis through time, and then Twilight opens them up, and then opens up an ancient evil, and it's its whole thing, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. So then after that, Season 8 begins, and Season 8 is fucking wow. Season 8 is mind-blowing to me. I do not know how it happened, because I was so sure. I even refused to see it for a little bit, because I was sure. I was like, this is gonna fucking suck. I wasn't liking... I hadn't liked season 7, I had stopped at some point before I got to seeing The Perfect Pair. Like I said, I'd taken a break. I'd probably braked from the show for like a year, where I was like, I don't want to see it, I don't want to think about it, I fucking hate this shit. Look at the new characters, they look like fucking OCs, fuck them. I was wrong. Season 8's amazing. But I don't blame myself for being wrong, because the show is doing a thing that I've seen dying shows do before. So, the show is on its back legs. It's not uncommon for them to just start introducing new characters and new concepts willy-nilly, right? Like, the show obviously was, because Season 5 finale, Starlight Glimmer, Season 6 opener, Baby, Season 6 finale... new changeling race that is basically added to the main the relevant cast, not the main, you know what I mean, like the supporting characters. Then season 7 opener didn't really have that, but it still had the theme of, like, you know, like I said, it felt very clickbaity, where it's like, oh god, no guys, Starlight Glimmer's gonna go away forever. She's gonna stop being Twilight's student, like, kind of like, you know, dumb advertising bullshit, right? That made the episode way worse. And then the season 7 finale, where they introduced the Pillars of Harmony, and so they've introduced a lot of new characters throughout the later series here, and the series, for anyone who doesn't know, the series finale and the series openers are pretty much the main canon that happens through most of the show. Like, season 8 actually changes that some, and I'll talk about that some, and they had a little bit of that in earlier seasons, but never very prevalent. Like, most of the time they hardly matter in the long run, having these different episodes. The closest ones was season 7, where they had some stories relating to the ancient, like, cool ponies, but they didn't do a very good job. They didn't set up a whole lot of character for most of them, and most of them don't really do that much. So anyways, you know, the show's been doing, just throwing more and more characters into the pot every finale, every opener, like, have more stuff. It'll eventually work if we keep adding to the pot, and I was worried, right? Like, that doesn't usually work. That's not usually a good sign for a series, and, I've seen it horribly before, where it just, like, eats upon itself, right? Like, that happened in The Fairly Odd Parents, or they just keep tossing things at the pot, being like, this'll fix it, this'll fix it. It's never what the show needs. Just tossing things, new things at the show, doesn't fix its problem. A baby is not going to make people suddenly watch the show. You know, that's dumb. But so season 8 comes around, I saw new main characters, and I was like, this is gonna be another season 6. I was done, and I didn't watch it for a while. But then I got back around to it, and damn, was I surprised. So, the new main characters actually sell themselves pretty fast. A lot faster than Starlight Glimmer did. So the plot of season 8 is Twilight Sparkle realizing that she has not been much of a princess, and still not really acting like much of a princess, but whatever. She decides to do something, I don't know, actually use at least some of her power, even if it's not very princess-like power. So she opens a friendship school. She opens a school where all kinds of ponies and races from all over Equestria can come and learn about friendship. And they can learn you know, how to be friends, how to be good ponies. Kind of, come to think of it, Fame and Misfortune looks even worse in retrospect when you realize that they build a friendship school and it works. Literally, Fame and Misfortune doesn't make sense because their friendship lessons work. They do not cause World War One or Pone War One or whatever you want to call it. They don't explode the universe. They work. The friendship school works. Twilight opens a friendship school, and it's a success. It's like it takes a while for every pony to get into the swing of things, but they do, and soon everyone's having fun. The main conflict for this one being that there's a racist guy who's the main antagonist, and I at first didn't expect to like it, and I first didn't like it, but it's okay. Like, it actually works better in retrospect, knowing more about later of this season, but this super racist guy's like, guys, these lessons are for ponies. These outsiders are gonna fucking use our lessons against us. To manipulate us, to beat us. And Twilight's like, that's not how friendship works. And he's like, I don't know. It's not my problem to know how friendship works. That's your problem. It's like it'll be your problem when these animals run through our kingdom and kill us. Like, yeah, obviously it's not. But he basically says all that shit. He's pretty fucking intensive. And he looks crazy fucking evil. So anyways. So racist guy shows up, and that's the conflict, and the new main characters, and the main six are still kind of the main characters, but not as heavily. But the new main characters show up, and they, you know... Actually, I don't think they really solve the conflict. I think it's, no, yeah, they don't really solve the conflict. If anything, they're part of what causes the conflict. And then the main six kind of clean that up. But, you know, they become like, through strife, they become friends and learn friendship lessons. And begin their journey as good characters. So it's all good stuff. Everyone's learning shit. We have races existing more in the show, like things we haven't seen in a while. We have a yak, Yona, who's great. She's pretty funny. Her character isn't always super deep, but she's fun, and they do some pretty good things with her. You know, with her preferences towards yak things, like being very... Yaks are sort of basically barbarians. They just kind of like, they love smashing things. You know, so she learns important lessons, like when to not smash things, and when to smash things super hard, if you know what I mean. And, then there's Gallus. He's a griffin. He's a cool guy. I like Gallus a lot. He's, you know, he's basically Aladdin. I mean, my friend made this joke the other day when I was talking about this dumb shit about, my fucking April Fool's video, and it's like, Gallus is basically, and then I had a moment, I was like, holy shit. He kind of is. So Gallus is poor. I mean, he doesn't really steal things, but he comes from a super poor background, and he's kind of like the character who's rougher around the edges, but not like crazy rough around the edges. He's not like, I've seen wars. He's just like, man, I was poor, and that has some good payoff. Like in the Christmas episode where he doesn't want to go home. Like, he wants to be with everyone else during Christmas because at home he doesn't really have that. And he doesn't really have anyone to go home to. So it's like, man, that's actually kind of sad. He's a good character. Silverstream, she's a hippogriff. She's Pinkie Pie 2.0. She's not quite Pinkie Pie, but she kind of shares some of that. She loves... she's super excitable. She loves hugs and cuddles, and stairs for some reason. She loves stairs. Um, and she's pretty cool. She's a good character. Has some. I'm not gonna go through all the characters, but she's good. We have Smolder, who is a dragon, and kind of in a similar situation to Yona, but more tsundere than barbarian, where she has to learn, like, you know, being tough can be relevant. It's part of being a dragon, but sometimes being tough isn't all that matters. Sometimes you gotta let down your tsundere shield and, you know, let Spike-chan give you some of the good stuff. I'm being dumb. Okay. And then there's Sandbar. He is, admittedly, as much as I memed, he's kind of wood. He's cool. I like him, but he's the most boring of all the characters by far, and that's kind of the point. He's the straight man played to an extreme level. He sounds like a surfer dude for some reason, but he's kind of just the straight man. He's just the guy who's there. Like, he's the straight man taken to the extreme. Like, one of my favorite moments from him, and it grew on me, and the more I've seen it, the more I thought about it. Like, he has this scene in the Christmas episode where everyone's telling Christmas stories, and then he tells a dramatic one where when he was a kid, his favorite stuffed toy almost fell into the fire, but then it didn't. And that's literally all. And he has a flashback about it. And that's all it is that he was a little kid and his stuffed toy almost got thrown, but it didn't. It got saved by his dad, and everything was okay. And it's like, it's so saccharine and like, we're trying to make things dramatic. It's amazing. Like, Sandbar just doesn't give a shit. Let's see. And then there's Ocelis. She is a changeling. She is the only changeling, whatever you want to call them. She is the only of the new changeling designs that isn't shit. Which I'm pretty sure I joked the other way about in my thing. So, her changeling design is good. It's actually good. She basically looks like an adorable ladybug. She's sort of like Fluttershy. She's shy. I'm trying to think of, like, exact things to say about her. I mean, most of my favorite things about her come from the fact that she is a changeling, and she is also more playful than Fluttershy, so it's sometimes fun seeing her. Like, I love seeing her change into different things. It's a good time. So, I have all these new characters. They get along pretty well. They bounce off the main cast pretty well. It's a good opener. And while Season 8 has some duds, especially early on in the season, it actually keeps going to be pretty good. We learn more and more about all of our new cast, and it's pretty good stuff. There isn't a single one of them I dislike. And that's amazing, because I had so long of disliking Starlight Glimmer, and even Starlight Glimmer starts having some really good episodes. She starts having episodes where she, like, road trips with Trixie, and they bond over real stuff. They don't bond over, like, well, I had a dark and mysterious past. I also had a dark and mysterious past. Like, they aren't fucking stupid edgelords who are like, I can only bond with people who are dark and mysterious. Like, you know, they have real friendship stuff they fucking talk about. Like, real friends and have real chemistry. And Starlight Glimmer just starts, you know, she just drops the whole psychopath thing. She stops using magic in ways that it was massively unintended. And the only time we ever, I can think of, that we see her use magic in a really theoretically negative way is in the Discord episode, because, and I despise Discord. He fucking deserved it. Like, she fucking energy blast Kamehamehas the shit out of him. Like, she uses a super energy beam to annihilate Discord, and it's fucking beautiful, man. I just wish it lasted. Discord should have just never shown up again. Starlight Glimmer destroys Discord. Done. That is Discord's ultimate purpose, to show her power level. No, but anyways, that was pretty. But like I said, he was being a huge jerk that episode. The entire episode he was. Starlight Glimmer was left in charge of the school because the main six are, you know, they're the main characters. They have to go off and do adventure things, and someone has to be in charge of the school. So Twilight Sparkle leaves her assistant, right? Like her assistant, who at this point is actually a good character, not just being told she's a good character. And, you know, that's fine. And then Discord comes along and he's like, I can't believe she left an actually competent person who knows about her work in charge instead of me, the irresponsible chaos god who totally loves to just fuck up everyone's day. I totally would be a good teacher. Fucking hate Discord. The worst part is they apologize to him at the end of the episode. They're like, I'm sorry, I didn't even think of you. Discord's like, really? Fuck, don't you do this to me. I'm so glad Discord doesn't show up much more of the season than that, because that is the worst episode of season 8. Which is a good thing. The worst season of season 8 is not them ruining something that's established. They don't hurt canon. They don't insult fans. They don't do anything crazy. The worst episode of season 8 is Discord's an asshole. Which is annoying. I wish that episode didn't exist, but it is something I can get past. Now, the other worst episode of season 8 is, there is another one that sucks, that is a dumb episode, but I'll maybe get to that, maybe not, but so season 8's pretty good, mostly. I'm not gonna go over all of the episodes. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But they do they do something interesting the other seasons haven't done. They have actual build-up and a misdirect. So, super racist guy shows up again. Oh, by the way, this is gonna be spoilers. This is, season 8's the first one where I'm like, this is gonna be spoilers. We wanna just jump in. Like, if you think my recap's good enough, and you wanna just jump into season 8, I implore you to do so. Or, if you've seen enough of the show, I would say, necessary watching. Seasons 1 through 3, and if you really, really love those, maybe, like, pick and choose some episodes from 4 and 5. Maybe, you don't have to, and then just jump right to season 8. Oh, and make sure to watch The Perfect Pair on the way. That is a must-see. You could not watch anything else of the series since the early stuff. You could barely be a fan. You could not even be a fan. Like, I'm almost curious to see how people who've not seen the show would react to The Perfect Pair. So, I don't know. Just watch The Perfect Pair. It is a good. The episode name is pretty fucking true. Anyways, so season 8, good stuff. So, spoilers. So, super racist guy shows up in another episode. Not a very great episode, but he shows up in another episode through the season, which is a nice touch to have him be like, I don't approve of your school, Miss Sparkle. Fuck you and your ways. I don't, One of these days I'm going to have your license revoked, and Celestia will see the error of your non-racist ways, you wench. And so he shows up and does that. And then in another episode they have Queersless, who is a good misdirect, sort of. That episode is real bad. The episode where racist guy shows up and at least he's intimidating and not a total idiot. In the one that Chrysalis shows up in, she is just stupid. She shows up with a half-baked plan to make replicas of the main six. I think I actually made a joke about that, didn't I? Cloning. She basically does that. She basically makes an evil clone of the main six and the main character, the original main characters, not the new ones. She makes replicas, she makes clones, and they're all evil, and she can't control them. And that's pretty much the episode, is that Chrysalis gets wrecked by her own creations that she can't control because they're all just douchebags. They're all assholes opposite in ways the main six that make them just uncontrollable and fucking useless. So, that's dumb. That's real dumb. I didn't like that a lot. It's an interesting idea to have for a conflict of, the things have done this before in comics and stuff, where it's like, what if we had the opposite of the main characters? But really doesn't work in this case. Come to think of it, I don't think it ever would work in this show, mostly because of the kind of things the main characters stand for. Like, how do you have a villain whose basis of existence is disloyalty? That doesn't really make sense to me. Like, cause Rainbow Dash's whole thing is loyalty. She is the element of loyalty. So, what do you do with a villain of that? The answer is not much, apparently. I mean, it's kind of the same with Applejack. Applejack's the element of honesty. So the element of dishonesty can tell nothing but lies, which makes her really fucking useless. And that's kind of how all of them are. All of their opposite traits are just useless things. It's not I don't even know a good example, but it's all things that just don't really make sense to me. As villainous traits. So it's dumb. And Chrysalis unfortunately does not have a very good villainous presence, which I'm sad for, because I think that I think she could have been a cool misdirect, or even a cool villain to be the secret actual villain if she weren't fucking stupid. But she's been stupid every time she shows up, and she was stupid again. Which is a shame, because I really like her, and I really like original Changelings and porn. But, okay, so, getting off of Changelings. Oh gosh, that didn't mean what it meant it to mean, what I meant it to mean. No. Okay, we're also introduced to Cozy Glow, who is a filly. A perfectly innocuous filly. She is a nice filly with curly hair and a perfectly normal filliness to her. She loves being a filly and loves friendship and is bad at things or something. I don't know. So anyways, so season 8 finale rolls around, and guess who the villain is? It's not the super racist guy, it's the filly. Dun dun dun, and I've heard some people hate that. I made a joke about, child abuse is wrong, don't beat your children. And the way I said that makes me sound really crazy. I mean, obviously, in real life it is, but, she's actually a good villain, because they did the freaking smart route, rather than the Starlight Glimmer, I'm just better at Twilight Sparkling, I'm a better magician than Twilight Sparkle route kind of thing, right? Cozy Glow doesn't feel like a Mary Sue, and she doesn't feel like she's god-moding either. What she does is she gets together a whole bunch of magical artifacts and basically does an Eldritch ritual. And, I don't know, that's fine to me. Like, anyone can fucking make an eldritch sign and start saying a bunch of magic bullshit. um, you know, summoning powers that you shouldn't, and it's kind of clear she sort of was. Her basic plan was to crash dimensions into each other and toss our magic into another, their magic into another dimension, and like, you know, for all we know, her plan, if she succeeded, could have fucking killed everyone. I don't know. She might not really know what happens if she gets rid of all the magic. She's just a dumb little kid. And she might be more. I know my friend theorizes she's more. I don't know what I think she is. I'm hoping they go a little more into her, because we don't really get a backstory for her. She's one of the villains. We don't really have a reason for why she's a villain. We just know that she wants to use friendship to control the world, which is an interesting idea. I will say that's actually something I don't like about her plan. It feels really half-baked. I kind of wish that she had been using the artifacts to gain power or something that would help her gain friendship. Because her plan is basically to get rid of the magic and then become the most powerful magic, because magic is friendship, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. In my opinion, I thought the end goal of her plan was stupid, if I'm gonna be real. Unless there's more to it. Unless I don't understand, which maybe I didn't. But I did not understand or like her end goal. That being said, it didn't really end up mattering that much in the episode. Like, she was still a threatening villain. She managed to be very manipulative in a good villain way. Like, you know, she had a lot of misdirects and a lot of pre-planning to get everyone to go off and do other things while she did her magical artifact bullshit. She was, of course, stopped because the new main characters show up and are like, fucking, you what, little girl? I'm gonna fucking smash you. Don't take that out of context. But anyways, so they indeed encounter a little girl and, like, defeat her, and, through not combat, but, you know, through weird friendshipy things, because that's normally how the show goes. And then she gets beaten, and they lock her in Tartarus for being scum. And that's how that ends. So, but, like, mostly it's just, it's kind of, I guess more than the villain's end goals, it's the way the villain actually succeeds, like I said, that sells it for me. And the misdirects. I think the misdirects are brilliant, because I was pretty sure the racist guy was going to be the villain. But no, instead he shows up and, you know, is someone who's also tricked by Cozy Glow, and tries to, like, you know, basically arrest the main six for being traitor, the new main characters. God, I'm getting so excited. He tries to arrest the new main characters for being, because he's racist, because he's like, they're evil, Twilight Sparkle's gone, I'm gonna take over this school, and Cozy Glow's like, yeah, you go be racist, and, you know, she keeps scheming about shit. So that's cool. I think that's good. That they had a villain who is, and, you know, they even taught someone we thought was gonna be a villain a very important lesson about don't be racist, because sometimes the greatest villains are children. Are our very own children. No. But yeah, so I don't know. It was it was something that I had an appreciation for, and maybe, like I said, maybe her end goals would make more sense. I mean, especially if they do something, because they do imply that she's going to, that Cozy Glow is going to show up again. Like, she's locked away, but she didn't get blown up like Sombra, and she didn't get, which actually I think Sombra's coming back in Season 9, which I'm not happy about, but we'll have to see. Either way, she didn't get blown up, and she didn't get reformed, and, you know, the end of the Season 8 basically implies she's gonna be back. So maybe we'll have some real villain motivation. Hopefully something better than Starlight Glimmers, but maybe we'll have some villain motivation and some smoothing out explanation of how Cozy Glow expected her plan to go without without magic. Or something. Because honestly, I will say that, I guess part of the reason it doesn't matter that much to me at the moment is not only could they explain it away, but I could kind of explain away my head. Like, literally all you need to change with that is she could be absorbing the magic, right? Like, she could be using all these super magical artifacts and basically summoning Cthulhu to steal the magic from the world and, you know, become a god or whatever. Like, that's fine. Like, that would have been of pretty much the exact same episode, because she never succeeds in that. She doesn't succeed in getting rid of the magic, and she doesn't so she wouldn't succeed in stealing the magic. So it'd be the same thing. It'd be fine. So I don't mind. Like, it's a lot easier to rewrite something like that where it's just a singular thing wrong, as opposed to something like Season 5's finale, where the entire basis of the episode feels wrong. You know, or 28 Pranks Later. I didn't even talk about that. My god. Okay, we'll talk about that in a bit. But, like, yeah, so the Season 8 finale, I think, is good stuff. I don't think it's the best thing I've ever seen, but it's one of the show's best finales out there. Certainly better than the ones that have previously, recently come before it. So it's some good stuff. And like I said, so is the rest of Season 8. They do some good build-up with the villains. They have some good episodes with characters just growing and learning about the friendship tree and all this other stuff that I don't feel like going into everything, because this is already a long ass video, so I'll just end it with a rant of my least favorite thing, and maybe just reiterate. So I'll reiterate, Season 8 worth watching if you can find a way to just watch it and nothing else if you've been away from the show for a while. If you don't want to do that, I don't know if I still don't know if I could recommend getting into the show, because Season 6 is terrible, and Season 7 is, okay, it exists, but, you know, it's not like Seasons 1 through 3, it's not Season 8, so, like, you have to sit through two bad seasons, Season 7 mostly being bad on its opener and finale, but even having some dumb stuff in between. Anyways, so, or no, mostly its opener, yeah. So anyways, Season 6 had 28 Pranks Later. Whew, I don't even want to talk about this one, because it sucks. So, Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash is my favorite. She still is somehow. But damn, that poor girl has so many bad episodes. It's so frustrating. She has the worst ones, too. So, 28 Pranks Later. Rainbow Dash is pranking ponies. And it's funny because we had an episode about this all the way in Season 1 where she's pranking ponies with Pinkie Pie. And they establish two super important things in that episode. One of them is that the practical jokes don't go very far. Like, most of the stuff they do are really minor, and all the characters after they prank them have a smile about it. So, for example, they paint all of Applejack's apples all sorts of different colors. Now this is one of those ones. A lot of these are unrealistic. The apple one's probably the most unrealistic. For one, the paint washes off. Like it just, if splashed in water, it just instantly washes off. So Applejack doesn't have, like, all she has to do is get a hose out there and hose down the trees. It's fine. Or if it rains, actually. If it rains, which Rainbow Dash should help with. If it rains, like, bam, her orchard is just fixed. Which is unrealistic for paint, I know. Speaking of unrealistic, I also know most paint does not go on things you eat. You could argue it's some sort of edible paint. I think that is a thing, but still. It is just a general statement of, I know that's very cartoon. But it is not seen as an issue. Like, they paint a bunch of apples, all sorts of bright, colorful colors. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of like looking at Easter eggs. I almost feel like those would sell well anyways. I don't even think Applejack needs to, like, I think she should just advertise them as a special batch. But whatever. One of them falls in water and it gets like all clean, and she has a smile like, oh, okay, that's pretty cute, right? And they have a bunch of those, like, they give Twilight invisible ink while she's writing a letter, and I don't know, she eventually is like, okay, so it's pretty funny. I forget all of them, but the Spike one's the meanest. In season 1, they were, like, in earlier seasons, that was one of the few things they didn't, I mean, they still kind of do in later seasons, honestly. One of the things the show sometimes has, especially in season 1, that I didn't like was Spike abuse, because Spike's rad, and it always feels bad seeing him get abused. So that was a thing, but whatever. That was a part of the show at the time, and it got better. But anyway, so most of the pranks were pretty harmless, right? Like, it was minor stuff, and then season 6 rolls around, and obviously that's the thing. The other thing they establish is that Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie have an agreement to not prank Fluttershy, because Fluttershy, even if you give her, like, the most harmless prank ever, she is very sensitive. She could take it, like, personally, or she could just get actually legitimately freaked out about whatever the prank is. Like, you know, if it's a loud noise or something. She's like, you know, a total shut-in, so don't fucking scare her. You know, don't be an asshole to Fluttershy. Which is fine. I'm fine with that being a rule. Like, that's a reasonable rule if you're playing jokes, honestly. Don't, if you're doing pranks, don't prank your sensitive friends who are going to cry afterwards. Even if they're harmless pranks, if someone gets emotionally hurt over it, it's not fucking worthwhile. Right, okay. So she forgets about those lessons in 28 pranks later. Rainbow Dash spends, she does a lot of mean things, including replacing the filling of a sandwich with a brick. Which, I don't know how you don't notice that. Let's ignore that part. Places someone's sandwich with a brick, which is terrible. It ruins the sandwich and could really potentially hurt your teeth. But ignoring that cartoon logic, let's say it doesn't, even though actually it happens all the time in cartoons. Let's say it doesn't. Let's just say ruins the sandwich. That's kind of mean. That doesn't really have a purpose, and it would hurt to bite into. It obviously did. And she does a lot of stuff like that. I don't remember all the pranks, but she goes around and plays practical jokes that are, like, really fucking intensive like that. Where, like, all of the jokes are pretty mean-spirited and some of them kind of hurtful. Um, and then she does one which is just like she scares Fluttershy, and that's something that she's like okay with now. I guess she's like, I'm gonna spook Fluttershy. That'll really get her. That'll be really funny for some reason that I can't fathom. Okay, someone's getting tired of Rainbow Dash's pranks. So you know, they have a little talk, sit down, and they're like, hey, Rainbow Dash, this is going too far. And Rainbow Dash is like, bitch, I haven't even started to prank. Because Rainbow Dash is a huge piece of shit in this episode. Because it sucks. So, then Rainbow Dash keeps being an asshole, and then everyone decides to get her back. And, this is basically a much, much worse version of the Mysterious Mirror Duel. So you'd think the way to get her back might be a little bit of, like, I don't know, some sort of, like, reasonable practical jokes back, right? Like, maybe someone sneaks into her house and, like, puts milk in her shoes or in her slippers, or someone sneaks into her house and, like, replaces all of her snack food with bananas, or maybe they dye her rainbow mane another color or something, right? Like something that could be actually pretty annoying, especially if you do them in succession. Like eventually be really frustrating to feel like everything's conspiring against you, and that would maybe be a lesson, like an easy little lesson there. But of course this is a shit episode with a shit premise. I've never been a fan of these, like, pranking things, usually because of premises like this. So instead the entire town is like, okay, we're going to pretend to be zombies. This episode, 28 Pranks Later, is a reference to 28 Weeks Later, and every pony puts on... Rainbow Dash was like, she like put rainbow stuff in the cookies, and I made a lesbian joke because everyone has like rainbow stuff all over their face. They're supposed to, like, I don't know. That was one of her more harmless pranks, funny enough. But of course that's whenever they spin into like, there was something in the cookies, it's turning everyone into zombies, it's a plague, they're all becoming flesh-eating monsters, everyone, even the babies. It's really fucked up. So basically the episode turns into Rainbow Dash is a bit of an asshole, like, kind of actually really annoying, to literally everyone is an asshole. Even more than Rainbow Dash, because everyone in town is just cool with this. Yeah, let's make Rainbow Dash think she killed everyone she ever knew or loved. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I fucking hate 28 Pranks Later. It's so bad. How do you write that? How? I'm sorry, I'm not attacking her. It's just... Season 6, dude, why is everyone so mean? 28 Pranks Later is one of the worst episodes of anything I've ever seen. It's so frustrating. It's such a character assassination. And I don't even think as a non-Rainbow Dash fan you can like the episode. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe some people do, but most people don't. I think most people agree it's a dud. I think I have a personal bias. I know I have personal bias because I do love Rainbow Dash. But even outside of that, like, I mean, doing that to any pony would be just messed up, right? Like, you would have to do that to, like, an actual villain to make it even maybe okay. Maybe. But doing that to someone who's supposed to be your friend, making them think that they have killed everyone they've ever known and loved, and made them into these flesh-eating monsters, and chasing them throughout town as they freak out and wish that any of their friends were there so they could figure out what to do. Like, it's so messed up. It's terrible. I actually hate it. I'm actually mad about it. Like, even more mad than most of the other stuff they did that had, like, longer running consequences, because 28 Pranks Later, of course, was one of those episodes that, like, they aired it, and it was one of the worst things ever, and then everyone pretends it never happened in show, and even out of show, like, people watch a show like me, I just pretend it didn't happen, because, like, I don't know, if it did happen, I can't believe that Rainbow Dash would be friends with any of her monster friends, and I mean, I don't even know why anyone would want to be friends with Rainbow Dash, but after what they did to her, I'd be like, I'm done. I'm leaving Ponyville for good. Apparently this entire town is full of psychopaths who are totally fine with me being driven to the brink of insanity. Negative 100 out of 10. Would not recommend to anyone ever. It's bad. So yeah, that's that. I don't know if I'll quite end on that though. God, I've been recording for so long. I have so much to talk about after so fucking long. This really is a goddamn podcast. Okay, so wrap up season 1 through 3. Watch them. Everything else until season 8. Don't give a shit except for Perfect Pair. Watch it. Watch it. Never stop watching it. Live the perfect pair. Savor the bittersweet tragedy. Fucking whatever, dude. I don't know. But, yeah, so it has become a very complex show to like. And I hope that season 9 is good. Otherwise, it'll become an even more complex show to like, and I'll tell you to never watch it, because currently that's my main hope. My main hope is that season 9 pays off what season 8 built up and paid off some, in like, spades. You know, like, I'm hoping that they do so much good that season 9 is actually the best season of the show. I don't think that's gonna happen. If I'm gonna be real, I hope it's at least good. I don't have enough confidence after so many seasons of trash. I don't have the confidence to say season 9 is going to blow season 1 through 3 or season 8 out of the water. But a man can hope. A man can dream, and until it happens, I will dream. And it's gonna happen soon, so I'll see. I'll give it a real try. I will keep my hopes up, but you know, if it doesn't turn out, oh well. Funny enough, despite having talked for 3 hours about this, I mostly just wanted to do stuff on my channel. I wanted to talk about stuff. Like, it's funny because ponies are still so central to me in the way that I am Green Bean. I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. That's part of why I had such a hard time getting back to stuff. I had a real identity crisis of who I wanted to be, but after all of it, I just want to be Green Bean. I'd want to be the fun-loving person who just brings you chill stuff. Brings you maybe pony-related content, brings you just fun game-related content, just talks, and is, I don't know, hopefully chill to listen to. Hopefully, you know, videos like this at least entertain some people. Give you something to enjoy listening to throughout a day, whether it's a tough day or whether it's just a day you want something to listen to while you game or while you do other stuff. You know, and kind of like the same with my stuff. I'm like, I want my streams to entertain. I want them to make people happy. And that's what I was always about. And that's still what I want to be about. I want to just be friendly and happy and all that stuff. Kind of like I made my actual character, Green Bean, who I'm not going to get super into because it's not that relevant, but I mean, I feel like that's a lot of traits I gave Green Bean, is being like a very, very, very kindly person. Pony. Very kindly, very, very nice, generally just, easy to get along with kind of stuff. Anyways, so that's my ramble about all of this stuff. um and I don't know if anyone made it to this point. Feel free to post up some thoughts if you like this, if you want to see more podcasts, if you never want to see a podcast again from me. I think I think I'll have to look up the exact definition, funny enough. I don't know what it counts as a podcast. I feel like this does, but I don't want to false advertise. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I do hope to see all of you next time.